A former CIA officer was arrested this week on charges of mishandling classified information. The FBI said that Jerry Chun Shing Lee had in his possession notebooks that contain names and contact information of CIA informants and agents in China. John Yang now has more on Lee's arrest amid a massive mole hunt inside the agency.
Judy, that hunt's been going on for years, looking for who may have helped the Chinese government roll up a significant piece of the U.S. spying network in China. Still, after Lee's arrest, questions linger over the entire case. Here to lend some clarity is Adam Goldman, the New York Times reporter who first broke the story last year of the loss of American assets in China, and he's also been leading the paper's coverage of Lee's arrest. Adam, thanks so much for joining us. First of all, just tell us, who is Lee and what drew investigators' attention to him?
Jerry Lee is a Chinese-American who worked for the CIA, joined the CIA in 1994, was stationed in Tokyo, he was stationed in Beijing, he was involved in Chinese operations, and left the agency in 2007, and we're told he left disgruntled and that his career had plateaued.
And give us the context of this investigation. Talk about the loss of the American assets in China, the scope of that.
So we're told that approximately about the end of 2010, the agency realizes it has a problem. They have begun to lose informants in China. And eventually the FBI is brought in to help investigate this counterintelligence issue. And they continued to lose people into 2011 and 12. I think by 13, the losses had been stemmed. But it was devastating. I mean, we're told 18 to 20 people were either killed or imprisoned, and the magnitude of the loss really crippled the agency's operations there.
And now Lee has been charged with not returning information, classified information, when he left the CIA in 2007, but he has not been charged with espionage, is that right?
No, so right, Lee has been, so basically Lee had these notebooks he had kept that had highly classified information. The information was found in cables. It was the same information that was found in cables that Lee had written while in the CIA. So there would be no reason for Lee to have these books outside of the CIA. But he's been charged with unlawful retention of classified information. Carries up to 10 years.
And as you've been writing, that there's a debate within the CIA and the FBI about whether Lee is responsible for giving this information to the Chinese, or even if there's a mole at all.
Well, I think for some of the people who investigated this, they could demonstrate that Lee had information knew about some of the people who were killed. Some, but not all of them. So how do you explain how the Chinese wrapped up everybody? I mean, we had heard it had been a combination of several things. You know, possibly Lee might have been involved. I want to stress that, might have been involved. Their COVCOM, the way they communicate with their secret agents in China, might have been compromised, or sloppy tradecraft by agency people in China. That means essentially when they went to go meet their informants or their agents in China, that Chinese intelligence managed to pick that up.
Now, you also wrote in today's paper that Lee was first questioned, or I should say that they first found this information, this material, in Lee's belongings in 2012. He was questioned, and then he was released. He was let go, even though there was this cloud of suspicion around him. What was going on?
Lee came back. It was a ruse. The CIA had offered him a sensitive contract, and they wanted to get him back to the States because he'd been living in Hong Kong, and by that time they were fearful he was divulging secrets to China. So they wanted to get him back, and they offered him this secret contract. So they managed to lure him back and his family, and they interviewed him 5 times. But they never disclosed to Mr. Lee that, in fact, he had these books filled with information, or they suspected he was a Chinese spy. And they made it was a calculated gamble. They let him go obviously hoping to get more information about what he knew or his interactions with other people. And they are also concerned that if they had confronted Lee and not been able to charge him, if they had confronted him and had charged him, the Chinese would have been tipped off that the FBI knew that they were losing their assets. So, this was a really life and death time for the FBI and CIA and what to do with Lee.
And whether or not Lee is responsible, or even if there was a mole, what's been the impact of the loss of those U.S. assets, of those sources of information inside China on the United States intelligence gathering in China?
Before we started losing these informants, we had extraordinary visibility into Chinese operations, government operations, whether intel, military. And after they rolled up these informants, it was almost a complete blackout, we're told. I mean, it's one of the most devastating intelligence failures in modern CIA history.
A real-life spy story. Adam Goldman of the New York Times. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.